Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Von Manor. So today, it's my epic comic book Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I talk about a Marvel epic collection, and today, I'll be talking about, you'll never guess, Captain America. Yes, I'll be talking about Captain America. So this is, once a week, I'll do the Marvel Epic Wednesday, and Steve Donoghue on his super villainous channel will talk about that same epic collection. It is our world's finest team up, which we do once a week. And this week it is Captain America at his first epic collection, Captain America Lives Again. Yes, Captain America Lives Again. The first volume of Captain America. This is Captain America 1963 through 1967. So this is Captain America's triumphant return. So Captain America, of course, was a hero in the golden age of comics, which I've got here in my golden age Captain America omnibus. And a lot of the artwork in the golden age Captain America was done by Jack Kirby, because the character of Captain America was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, although there are stories in here from Stan Lee. I think Stan Lee always kind of had a soft spot for Captain America. So yes, he was a hero of the Golden Age, and I think Stan and Jack were always kind of looking for a chance to bring him back. He did exist for a little while in the 1950s. That's an interesting story. He existed for a while, then he vanished. But he was around in the 50s, and Marvel Comics did explain that in a really great story. That was a good one. So Captain America Lives Again. Now, last week I did the Fantastic Four. Now, I don't know if you guys ever see those reaction videos where people react to videos. I think they're kind of goofy, but I sort of wish I had made a reaction video to my watching Steve Donoghue's version of Epic Wednesdays last week. So you could have seen the shouting and the screaming and my sticking the pins in my little Steve Donoghue doll. We all have those, right? It's not just me. But yeah, Steve Donoghue did not agree that the first volume of Fantastic Four was fantastic. He said some pretty mean things about the Fantastic Four. Volume 1, the world's greatest comic magazine. It's the world's greatest comic magazine. It says so right on the cover. That video that he did, it's an epic of wrongness. I have his channel linked down below so you can check out how wrong he was last week. But if he was upset with the Fantastic Four last week, man, imagine what he thinks of this. Captain America Volume 1. So Captain America, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby brought Captain America back for the Avengers. And that is the first story in this collection. Look at that. Great. So this has a lot of great Jack Kirby artwork. There's a bit of artwork in here that is not so great. They sort of tested the waters for Captain America and sort of brought a fake Captain America back for Strange Tales with the Human Torch. And it was about as bad as every other issue of Strange Tales with the Human Torch. But the real Captain America made his return in this brilliant comic, which I talked a little bit about when I talked about the Avengers. This is the Avengers. Issue number 4, Captain America Lives Again. When they brought Captain America back to be a member of the Avengers. Famously brain-damaged Submariner did not recognize Captain America from World War II because, you know, he's had amnesia and he's not fully recovered yet. That's my explanation. I'm sticking to it. So eventually he remembered that, oh yeah, I knew this guy in World War II, but at this point in his life, he's just confused. So he finds Captain America in a big hunk of ice. He's like, what the heck is this? He tosses it into the water. Ice melts, and he's found by the Avengers. Now, of course, being frozen in ice would kill the rest of us. But Captain America, you know, he's got that super soldier serum floating through him. So, you know, who knows how that would affect you. Yeah, and now this is interesting because Bucky Barnes, Captain America's sidekick from World War II, dies. He died at the end of World War II. Now, this was never in a story. It was only shown for the first time here in a flashback where they jump on in kind of coveralls, covering up their costumes for some reason. They jump on this plane. This plane's rigged with a bomb. Captain America gets off in time, falls into the water, and gets frozen somehow. And Bucky blows up. At least we thought so for like decades until the whole Winter Soldier thing came along. And then we find out, oh, Bucky's alive after all. Because, you know, comic book characters, they can never really be dead. They always got to be brought back. It took Bucky a while, though. He stayed dead for a long time. He was always brought back once in a while, but it was always a robot or something. But, yeah, Bucky's dead. And interestingly enough, it never actually happened in its own story, at least at this point. It was just a flashback that they made up to explain why Bucky was gone and why Captain America is so depressed all the time. He's very upset that Bucky's gone. He sees Rick Jones. Rick Jones, the horrifying, awful teen sidekick, Rick Jones, that has to jump in every Marvel comic ever and be the sidekick. He becomes Captain America's sidekick for a while for no good reason. He's annoying. He's like Snapper Carr from the Justice League. Snapper Carr was the worst thing about the Justice League. Everybody hates Snapper Carr. They all hated him. And he eventually turned out to be a really awful supervillain. So that made sense. But Marvel, for some reason, decided they needed to have their own version of Snapper Carr. And so we've got Rick Jones, who originally was in a Hulk comic book. It made sense for him to be in that comic book. But it doesn't make sense for him to be in this comic book. But there he is, to annoy us. And so the Avengers in this issue kind of vanish, and he has to go and find out what happened to the Avengers. Eventually, they figure it out. He shows up in the Power of Iron Man, Tales of Suspense, and he hangs out, fights Iron Man in this issue for some reason. And then he's brought back as a feature in Tales of Suspense. And look at that great splash page there. That's fantastic. Jack Kirby did some good drawings of old Captain America in this epic collection. It's pretty cool. A lot of good stuff in here from Jack. Now, here's the thing. The stories were a little ridiculous. Here's the thing about this period in Captain America's history, when Captain America was just brought back by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So he was brought back to be in the Avengers, which is a great fit. He's a great Avenger. He's probably the perfect Avenger, Captain America. And he was great on the Avengers pretty much the whole way through. Yeah, the Avengers really needed Captain America. But on his own, it feels like in the beginning, it's like, okay, we brought Captain America back. He's got his own comic now, and now what do we do with him? The first few stories kind of meander around a while. It takes a while for Captain America to get a focus, for Stan Lee to figure out what he's going to do with Captain America. Eventually, Captain America really hits his stride. Eventually, Captain America is working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that. And then we get some really good Captain America comics. The first few Captain America comics in here are, they're all right. They're entertaining. I like them because you know me, I like everything. And so for the first few issues, it's Captain America running around having various adventures. The artwork's pretty good throughout. Nobody could draw Captain America quite like Jack Kirby could. So it's fun to get Jack Kirby's Captain America. Some of the stories, like this one, involves a jailbreak. and he's just fighting a bunch of prisoners. Of course he can take out prisoners. Yawn. But eventually things start picking up. Like here we get the origin of Captain America retold. Captain America's origin was retold a couple times. And this is the first time in the Silver Age that Captain America's origin was retold. Where if you've seen the movie, you pretty much know the origin because it was pretty close. He is scrawny Steve Rogers. And Steve Rogers risks his life to take the super soldier serum there, which turns him into Captain America. It pretty much gives him this super developed Captain America body. And from that point on, he's trained to be Captain America. And he shows up here with his Captain America shield. There are some inconsistencies with the various versions of Captain America's origins. That's okay. And here we got the Tales of Suspense. This is a great issue of Tales of Suspense, but not for Captain America's story, mostly because this is the issue where Hawkeye and the Black Widow are in there, and that's a better story. What Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did for a while, is they decided to do some issues telling Captain America's adventures back in World War II. Partially because people wanted to see some of that, and partially, I think, because they really didn't know at this point what they wanted to do with Captain America. I got my own supervillain over there. Listen, you dastardly supervillain. I need you to behave yourself. I'm talking about Captain America, for crying out loud. Captain America. Okay? So will you behave yourself and stop your supervillainy? Leave the supervillainy up to Steve Donoghue. Okay. Thanks, buddy. I know you're going to behave now. Now, this is a cool issue right here. This is Tales of Suspense number 65. Got Red Skull. Red Skull was a great character from the golden age of comics. And they bring the Red Skull back. And this issue is fantastic right here. This is issue number 66. An epic issue. The origin of the Red Skull. And this is a great villain origin issue where we learn the origin of the Red Skull. It has some fantastic artwork by Jack Kirby in it. Look at the Red Skull. He's just so villainous. Now, the Red Skull is just the worst. Yeah, he's the worst, the Red Skull. He's always, he's just like this evil Nazi monster, and just the worst of the worst. I mean, look at that outfit. How bad can you be if you're dressing like that and hanging out with Hitler? Even Hitler was afraid of this guy, the Red Skull. So we get a lot of Red Skull in here, and it's all pretty great. So right from when the Red Skull shows up, I'm kind of feeling like the Captain America comics kind of pick up and become a little bit more awesome. Not as awesome as Captain America becomes later. And, you know, other people might end up being critical of these particular issues, but we'll see. We got Midnight in Greymore Castle. Classic stories. Yeah, just awesome stuff. Now, eventually, then we get Batroc the Leaper, everybody's favorite character, Batroc the Leaper. Batroc the Leaper is French, and he talks with a horrible Pepe Le Pew accent, even in the comic. He literally twirls his mustache. He's such a villain. Such great stuff. And to make things even more... Okay, so there are moments where the art's not great. Like this particular panel. What's going on with Captain America here? I don't know what I don't know what Jack Kirby was going for in this particular panel. That just seems wrong. But that kind of thing is the exception. Usually the artwork is fantastic. And we get some early work by Jazzy Johnny Ramita, who's wonderful. I love Jazzy Johnny Ramita and everything. He wasn't at his best here. Of course, his best stuff was Spider-Man. He was just one of the best Spider-Man artists of all time. He could have been the best Spider-Man artist of all time. But the artwork here is pretty good. It was hard for Johnny Romita to make a bad issue. I think he was pretty much always good. Then we got some layouts by Jack Kirby, and John Romita is doing the penciling over him, and it just looks great. Eventually, when things really start getting good is when he starts teaming up with Nick Fury from S.H.I.E.L.D. And Captain America pretty much becomes an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's always kind of independent. But he does kind of become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he has a lot of adventures with S.H.I.E.L.D. And of course, this one has the Cosmic Cube, the terrible Cosmic Cube, which can give the person who has the Cosmic Cube godlike powers. Once you know it, the Red Skull gets a hold of that, and trouble ensues. Because the Red Skull, of course, makes himself look like that, you know. A big golden Nazi dream, I guess. But yeah, this epic collection has a lot of really cool stuff in it. The Avengers make a guest appearance. There's a lot of awesomeness in this. Got some Gil Kane artwork in here. Gil Kane's another guy that it was tough for him not to do really good work. I love Gil Kane, and he's literally worked on everything, pretty much. Wonderful, wonderful comic book artist. Probably not his best work, but it's still pretty dynamic and wonderful. Now, Captain America is a comic book that did get better from here. And since I've got you, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that made Captain America a special character. So Captain America, you would think a character like Captain America wouldn't be the most relatable of comic book characters, but Stan Lee was always pretty good at making comic book characters relatable in one way or another. And with Captain America, we have a guy that's really kind of out of place. Captain America fits in pretty well, but Steve Rogers, his other identity, pretty much doesn't. He never really finds a place for himself as Steve Rogers. He's always Captain America. And here's the thing with that. Steve Rogers, when he became Captain America, he pretty much sacrificed his life, or was willing to sacrifice his life, to be Captain America. And what happened is he ended up sacrificing his identity to be Captain America, which he was willing to do to win the war. But here, 20 years later after the war, he returns out of place. Now, 20 years, it's not a ton of time. It's like, you know, somebody vanishing in 2000 and showing up now. Yeah, things have changed, but it's not like somebody disappearing in World War II and showing up now. But it was enough time that the world moved on without Steve Rogers. So Steve Rogers really doesn't have a place in this world. So he's always a little moody. He's always a little depressed, which is not what you would expect from Captain America. But as Steve Rogers, he was a little bit like that. Never really found his place. But he did have a place as Captain America. And so he kind of sacrificed whoever Steve Rogers could be to be Captain America, because the world did need Captain America. And you see that over and over again. He's always, whenever Steve Rogers starts to find a place in this world, he has to give it up to be Captain America. So he's basically sacrificing his identity and the life he could have for duty to be Captain America. And that's what makes this guy special, aside from all the awesomeness of just Captain America being Captain America. So yeah, Captain America, that was my video for Captain America Volume 1. You can go check out Steve Donoghue, and he can tell you how terrible these issues are. And I will catch you next time. Next week, I'm going to be talking about Iron Man Volume 1. I wanted to go through all of the early issues of these characters just so you can get a look at them if you've never had the chance to do so. And then we're going to skip ahead. Going to do Iron Man next week. Then we're going to skip ahead to some other characters in the future. We're going to do some Bronze Age stuff after we finish up with these initial Silver Age issues. So next week, Iron Man, Volume 1. Yeah, it'll be a good time. Thanks for joining me, my friends. I will catch you next time.